So, how many of you were here yesterday morning when Anita did her introduction and gave her her background and her life story? So, those of you who were here heard about how Anita and I first met, which was when our client, the New York City Economic Development Corporation, first put out what's called an RFP, or request for proposals, to run this internship program. Anita and I both went on our own. We sat in the front row. We met each other. I had no experience in life sciences. She had no experience in internships. We realized we'd be a perfect combination. We started talking and decided to put in a proposal against a number of much more obvious choices for EDC to pick. We were very fortunate they picked us. For the past 6 years, we've been partners in running this program, running the whole team, and it's been a great ride. As you probably noticed, Anita loves making fun of me and loves playing practical jokes on me. And the latest one she did is putting me last at the end of a 2-day boot camp for me to close out the show. So thanks, Anita. I know everyone's asleep and you want to get out of here. There are a million things you'd rather be doing, but we're going to make this fun. So we talked, we had some discussions during Joe's speech and otherwise about how to handle LinkedIn. And networking and LinkedIn and just meeting people for your career. I see any social media or any online tool, whatever it might be, as a tool. It's not and I said this yesterday, it's not a magic bullet. It's not like you're gonna hop on LinkedIn and all your prayers are solved or answered and you know exactly what you need to do. It's just one more tool, but it's also a very, very powerful tool. So let's move forward. Some key questions we're gonna talk about. What are the benefits of LinkedIn? How do you want to be perceived? Something really important on any social media, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot, but anything you ever post online, you gotta be really careful, and you have to be really smart. My wife's an employment lawyer. She has a great presentation talking about things not to do on social media. And I have a few slides from there that are kind of fun, but where people have gotten themselves in big trouble. And actually, when Craig was talking before about ways that you can compromise intellectual property, there are other things that you can do that may or may not compromise your company's secrets. She tells one story of a worker who was working from home. They were on a company conference call. That worker had the conference call on, had the audio on from it, probably muted and turned her camera off, went to the kitchen. Something happened in the kitchen. I forget what it was. I think there was a big spill. So she recorded 15 seconds of it, put it on TikTok. Happens that those 15 seconds, you could hear the call in the background, and they were talking about some very confidential information. She got fired. So everything you're doing online, you have to really be smart about what you're doing and think about what you're posting online. Then what are your objectives of being on LinkedIn? Again, it's a very powerful tool. You're putting yourself out there for the professional world. You want to make sure that in doing so, you're portraying yourself the way you want to be portrayed, and you're meeting the people you want to meet. And how should you interact with others? Something everyone's thinking about. We had some questions yesterday. I'm going to try to go really quickly so we can have some discussion. But everyone has their own style of how you want to interact with others. But I get a ton of spam on LinkedIn. And for someone to reach out to me, I want to make sure it's really valuable. And I want to provide value to others. I also want to make use of my time. I can't respond to everything because I just get way overwhelmed with things. Okay, your pre-elements, or your key elements for LinkedIn. I hope a lot of you got headshots yesterday. We're going to be getting those from the photographer soon and sending those out. But you want to make sure you have a really professional photo. You don't want to look bad in your photo. This is professional. People are going to look you up when they're considering hiring you, when they're considering helping you. You want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward. You need a headline. You want to say who you are, what you're about, as well as your summary. Someone has to look really quickly, whether it's a resume or your LinkedIn profile, and get a sense of who you are. You want to talk about your work experience. This is your online resume. Skills, endorsements, recommendations. Then some fun stuff. You can put videos, photos, presentations. The question though is that going to be something that's really showing who you are? If you're a video producer, definitely want to put video. If you're a scientist, I don't know if you want to. It could be gimmicky. I don't know if it's going to really help you. Our first LinkedIn profile. Oh, good one. This is Anita's. Here you can see, very professional photo. Right on top, she says who she is. Executive coach, career creator, powerful listener, motivating leader. She's got the about. Few quick bullet points that are very precise, very concise, and talk about who she is. And then her experience, very clear. This is a great example. Next up, and I pick on this person because she's actually a trainer for LinkedIn. Chief of Staff Champion. I don't know what that means. Queen of Chaos Organizer. And again, I don't know what that is. Dynamic dot connector. And then all these like kind of cutesy stuff. My mission, my magic, bring it to life. You know, for what she is, which is someone who trains on LinkedIn, maybe this works well for her. For someone, again, for someone in the science field, you don't want to go out gimmicky. And I acknowledge my first resume coming out of college long, long ago. This is way before computers were as easy to work with. I decided, like, my resume is going to be one of hundreds that employers say I need to stand out in some way. And I took different images and just pasted images into my resume, which no one was doing back then. So it made me stand out. Did it make me look professional? Probably not. But you need to be really careful on how you're presenting yourself. How not to connect. And these are examples of just the spam I get on LinkedIn. And for me, LinkedIn is just a pure spam machine. People might see my title and, granted I have a really small company, but I show up as CEO. So people might be searching, finding CEOs of small companies, and on a daily basis I get spam on LinkedIn. And so in general, unless something really catches my eye, I usually ignore it. And we say in our email, like, we're happy to connect with every intern in this program, but when I get an invitation from someone to connect, you should be very, right up front and say, I'm excited to be an intern in the LifeSci NYC Internship program. If I see that, awesome, thrilled to connect with you. If I see someone I don't know who they are, I'll sometimes go back and look up all the connection invitations I get to see, do I know this person? Who is this person? But that takes work. So, as I said yesterday, anytime you're interacting with someone, you always want to make life easier for them. How to connect. What Anita says in her profile, we've never met, kindly introduce yourself when sending a LinkedIn request. What I say, and I might be a bit harsher here, I only connect with people I met. So that way people know I know people with whom I'm connected. I get a lot of invitations from people who I have no connection to. And my thought is, if I accept every invitation, then the people I'm connected to doesn't really have meaning. And if someone looks someone up and sees, oh wow, Rich is connected to them, they might reach out to me and say, hey, can you connect me with this person? If I don't know who they are, then it's not really using the value of LinkedIn, which is having the concentric circles of networks. So I have a large number of connections, but it's at least someone I've had some personal interaction with. So instead of, hi Richard, I'd like to join your LinkedIn network, always put, hello Rich, I'm a current intern through LifeSci NYC, and I want to thank you so much for planning and facilitating this. This was from last year when we did 3 days. 3-day boot camp for us. I really appreciate all the hard work. If I see this, I know right away, it's someone I want to connect with. Definitely want to stay up to date. Too many people have old LinkedIn profiles. Now I'm being selfish in saying this because we'd love to know where you are after you finish the program. If the city, our client, likes to know the results of the program, the easiest way we do that is we look you guys up on LinkedIn. If we see, like 2 years from now, that you still say that you're a student at whatever school you just graduated from, or it says that you're still an intern when you've moved on and are into a new job, it makes it a lot harder for us. But much, much more importantly is, this is your professional face. You don't want to be going out, but you're not going to go meet someone and tell them, yes, hi, I'm a sophomore in high school right now. You pass that. This is your public persona. You need to make sure it stays up to date. Posting. It's always really good to post and keep people up to date on what you're up to when you have good news. I just a few minutes ago posted pictures from last night's party, posted the picture we took here yesterday at the group shot, and posted a picture of all the speakers from last night on my LinkedIn profile. Our senior client, Sue Rosenthal at EDC, is fabulous at always posting what she's up to, posting the good news on the program that she runs, which is the overall LifeSci NYC Initiative, and giving credit to her team members and to other people for all their efforts, just making them feel acknowledged. So always great to post when you have good news to share, when you have updates in your career. If you publish a paper, obviously it has to be something public, but any positive news, it's a great way just to let people know what you're up to. Always be careful though when you're making profile updates. Here's an example of, and LinkedIn can be confusing. You have to be really careful on what your settings are. But when you change your work status, if you don't have it set right, it might announce to all your connections that it says, say congrats on the new job. But the new job that this person posted was seeking work opportunities. So someone wrote, congrats, Chris. Chris wrote back, hi, unfortunately my new status is not good news. The company reorganized and I was let go with some others. I had to change my current job status and it posts as a new job. I'm actually looking for work. So again, you need to be really careful what you're putting out there and what your settings are on LinkedIn. So just really quickly, I'm gonna go through some of these. These are fun, but this is old from Twitter. Someone posted, Cisco just offered me a job. Now I have to weigh the utility of a fatty paycheck against the daily commute to San Jose and hating the work. This is way back when Twitter was pretty new and people thought like no one's on Twitter, they're safe. They get a response and you can see how old it is from the logo. But hi there, Connor, who's the hiring manager? I'm sure they'd love to know that you'll hate the work. We here at Cisco are versed in the web. Another great one. Someone posted, true confession, in one of those times where I scratch my head and say I would die if I had to live here. This is someone who's going for a big client meeting, the client saw this tweet. That didn't go well. Another one, and this is anytime you're using company social media, you need to be careful you know what account you're logged into. Red Cross had to correct this and say, we deleted the rogue tweet, but rest assured, we're so bringing fast. This is a great one. I find it ironic. Detroit is known as the Motor City, and yet no one here knows how to fucking drive. Posted to Chrysler Autos. This is actually posted by a marketing agency. They lost the account because of this tweet. I think that might go. So, any questions? Yep.
So I feel like a lot of times when people are giving advice on writing your LinkedIn about thing, they say, oh, just be yourself. But like, if I was truly being myself, that would probably not be such a good thing to put on my LinkedIn bio. So
don't be yourself.
So how do you find the balance of like, getting a nice, clean, professional thing, but also having a little personality that someone can like relate to or understand?
I think you want to think about the image that you want to put out to the world. And think about the difference of who yourself is when you're going for a job interview versus who yourself is when you're hanging out on a Saturday night after a few beers with your friends. You want yourself that you put out on anywhere online, but especially on LinkedIn, to be the first one. And I think companies have some degree of understanding that people, and especially young people, have social lives, and to show yourself out with friends having fun is okay as long as you're not being really irresponsible. But especially with LinkedIn, it's part of your professional image, and you really want to be thinking about what is the image you want to be portraying to companies, partners, anyone. And I'm on LinkedIn all day, every day. When I get an email from someone, I look them up to see who are they, who do I know in common with them, what have they done, like what's the connection. But before I have any new call with someone, I always check who they are. It's a really helpful tool to understand, like, we're looking for companies all the time that'll host interns. When I talk with them, I'll often say, oh, I see you're connected with, A, B, C, and D. We work with all of them. They'd be happy to talk about us. And it can be a really powerful tool for getting endorsements, like not necessarily within LinkedIn, but say like, you should reach out to these people. They know us. They work with us, and they can be really helpful. But you want to make sure that you're portraying, you're putting your best foot forward. Yeah.
How far in advance can you post like experiences that you're about to have? Like for example, for this summer for the internship, when can you like post that like you're having this internship? Like when you started, or like a week before, or once you get the offer, or?
I think whenever. I mean, you want to make sure it's definite, but yeah, that's great. If you say, I'm really excited, I was offered a position, where are you working?
Infinity.
Yeah, if you say, I'm really excited, I'm working at Infinity this summer, you tag them, they'll see the message. Yeah, obviously you want to make sure you've gotten the offer in writing and you've accepted it, and it's not like something where you think you have the offer, but you haven't gotten it, and they're like, why is this person writing that? You also, anything you do online, you have to be extraordinarily careful that you're not disclosing any confidential information. And you might, it's not out of line to check with your hiring manager and say, I'm really excited about this, I'd love to post on LinkedIn or post on whatever other media. Just want to make sure you're okay with that. And anytime you do that, they're going to think, wow, this is a responsible person I just hired. You don't want to do that with you don't want to do that 10 times a day, but just checking and saying, like, you just want to know what the social media policy is, just want to know if this is okay. That would never be a bad thing. Yeah.
How frequently is too frequent to post on LinkedIn?
And I wouldn't limit it to LinkedIn, but I think it's when you have news and something worth telling people. I wouldn't treat it like Instagram or Twitter where you're posting 10 times a day. I think you want to have like real professional news and really have something. And as you build your network, especially as you have like some prominent people in your network, if you're posting like, I just had a great hamburger this afternoon, it's not what LinkedIn's for. And look how other people are posting, but it's like real professional news.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, how do you know the most important things to put on LinkedIn? Because I've looked at a few people's profile and they have like a lot of stuff.
I mean, it's the same rule that I use for resumes, which is people, and especially the people that you want to impress, are busy. So if you have a 5-page resume, no one's going to read it. My rule is like, no one's going to spend more than a minute on a resume. So if you have
6 seconds for a resume.
So, people are looking quickly through. If you have so much stuff that they're not going to read everything, they might skim through and they'll find just the things that happen to catch their eye. You want to control it. You want to just put forward the things that you feel are most important that you really want them to see. So if you start loading it up with your babysitting job from when you're 11 and your participation awards and things, it's going to take focus away from your real accomplishments. So you want to be really concise and focus on the things that are most important. And that way, if someone's looking at your LinkedIn page, they'll quickly get to the things that you most want them to see.
This actually has to do with what you just said. I've heard that before, where a lot of people state for the resume, don't make it too long. It really depends on the job. Certain jobs, like I was applying for federal positions, the longer the better, they say. They said you can go 6 pages. They want details.
So I don't know the federal hiring process, so I can't really comment on that. The one big exception for having longer resumes is if you're further in your career. then squeezing everything into one page is more of a challenge.
For federal, they want to be able to do a good background check, so they want to know the details of where you work, so they can backtrack, just in case to see how trustworthy you are, because they're giving you security clearances. Just in case someone was applying like a government position, they want more details.
So, yeah, again, I'm not familiar with federal hiring. It might be that they want a list of where you've worked. I don't know that you need to give bullet points for your, for every job going back.
I had to give 6 pages. 5 to 6 pages.
Yes.
For the CIA or something?
FBI, CIA, NSA, they want all that information.
Yeah.
Actually, the resume I sent to SIPA, where I was hired here, was actually the federal resume, and Bond went through all of it.
Bond is very exacting. So he might have appreciated, but I think that many employers just won't look through
In
them.
private sectors, yes. I'm just saying, if anyone
Yeah.
applies for government, be careful, because that's a little different in government.
Yeah, no, and that actually raises a really good point, which is anytime you're applying for any job, try to do as much specific research as you can. And any advice like what we're giving on the stage is general advice that applies to it's general advice that applies to the average job. You might look up if you're applying for a federal job or if you're applying for a state job or nonprofits. Really try to find out if there are any particulars that you can find online, or back to LinkedIn. If you know people, if you can find people who work there, you can reach out and say, I'm applying for this job at the CIA or at Civil Solutions or wherever it might be. Would love any guidance you might give me about how I can really stand out and what the employer is looking for. And that's where LinkedIn can be really helpful, is you can get specific information. A few more questions. I know we're really running late. Yep.
How far back can you post about something? Like 2 weeks ago, I went to a tech conference and I didn't post about it, and I feel like I should have, but I don't know if I should be like 2 weeks ago I went to this. I don't know.
I guess it's a question of whether it's something that your contacts would find relevant. I think you want to be in the habit of posting when it's current and
Yeah.
fresh. If you were to run into an old friend who says like, "What's up?" maybe you'd say, "Here's what I'm up to. 2 weeks ago I went to this conference." If you ran into an old friend, it's probably less likely that you'd say, "Yeah, last August I went to this event." Because it's no longer relevant. So I think it's a question of, is it still relevant? Is it something that people would care about? All right, last one. Yep.
How should you approach connecting with recruiters at companies through LinkedIn?
Connecting with him.
How should you approach connecting with people at companies you want to work, like recruiters, for example, on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, recruiters are often more open to connecting. I personally, and this is a bit more extreme, but I almost never reach out to anyone to connect with them unless I am meeting someone at an event, and like Joe was talking about yesterday, instead of exchanging business cards, we do the LinkedIn QR code thing. But it's very rare that I'll send an invite to someone, just because that's my style. It's like I wait for people to connect with me. I think if someone can be helpful for you, if they know you, and it's not out of the blue for you to reach out and connect to them, then by all means, you can do so. I wouldn't look up a company and say, wow, this company looks great, and try to link in with their CEO if you have no connection with them, because they undoubtedly get tons of spam through LinkedIn, and they'll just ignore it. If it's someone, what you might do is if you see someone who's a connection of yours.
What about school alumni that work?
Yeah, and what I'll sometimes do is I'll find someone on LinkedIn, and then I'll search around and find their email address, and send them an email and say, you know, I see you're an alumni of the same school, I went there as well, I'd love to connect with you. And like I was saying yesterday, like you want to be really concise here and say like who you are, why you're reaching out, why they might want to help you, what you're asking in like the first 2 sentences. And even a very, very important tool when you're emailing is the subject line. That's like prime real estate to get your point across in a few words. And so if you can be really